You've seen the sci-fi movies, right? And more recently, you've probably seen those viral videos. These super sleek, humanoid robots doing chores with almost human-like grace. It really feels like the future is here. But what happens when you take these amazing AI brains out of a perfect, staged demo and drop them into a real, messy house like yours or mine? Well, the answer might just surprise you, and it all kicks off with one very simple request.
I mean, this moment from Rick and Morty, it's just perfect. It's funny, it's a little bit tragic, and it totally captures what we expect from a household robot. We just want it to do simple stuff when we ask. But as it turns out, even a task as simple as passing the butter is actually a huge, huge challenge for even the most advanced AI today. And look, companies like Figure and Google DeepMind are putting out these absolutely incredible demos all the time. You see these robots making coffee, tidying up a room, and it's so easy to think, okay, yeah, the problem of a general purpose home robot is pretty much solved. They just look so competent, so intelligent. But that's the real question, isn't it? Are we watching true intelligence, or are we just watching a very, very well-rehearsed play? Well, a group of researchers at Anden Labs decided they were going to find out. They put the AI brains behind these robots through a very simple but also very messy test. So they created this benchmark called Butterbench, and it was designed for one specific thing: to test an AI's practical intelligence, not its ability to, write a poem or debug code, but its ability to handle the unpredictable, unscripted chaos of a totally normal environment. And this difference is so important. We already know AIs are brilliant when it comes to analytical intelligence. That's logic, math, spotting patterns. But practical intelligence? That's totally different. That's street smarts. It's the stuff you and I use every single day to figure out what to do when things don't go exactly to plan. Okay, so the way they designed this whole experiment was actually really clever. You see, modern robots kind of have two main parts. There's the orchestrator, that's the large language model, the AI brain doing all the thinking, and then there's the executor, which is the part that actually controls the physical movements. To really test the AI's intelligence by itself, they basically simplified the robot's body to focus purely on the performance of its brain. And to do that, they used this little guy, a TurtleBot 4. It's basically a smart vacuum with a camera on it. It doesn't have any arms, no fancy grippers. Its only job was to complete a bunch of tasks related to, you guessed it, delivering butter, all while being controlled by a top-of-the-line LLM. So this main task, pass the butter, was broken down into all these little subtasks, and each one was designed to test a different piece of practical intelligence. Now, it seems simple enough, right? But look closer. The AI has to navigate a room, it has to make a logical guess about which grocery bag has the butter, deal with a person suddenly moving somewhere else, and understand basic social stuff like waiting. And this is where things start to get really, really interesting. So how did the AI do? After running the world's most advanced models through this whole challenge, the researchers then compared their performance to a few humans who were given the exact same setup. The results were, well, they were staggering. 40%. Just let that sink in. That was the average score for the single best AI model they tested, Gemini 2.5 Pro. It succeeded in less than half of these seemingly simple, practical tasks. Less than half. And here is the chart that really just puts it all into perspective. While the absolute best AI was struggling to get 40%, human operators, who, by the way, had never seen the layout or the tasks before, they hit a 95% success rate. That's not just a gap, that is a massive chasm in practical, real-world intelligence. And believe me, this wasn't just a fluke with one model having a bad day. All the heavy hitters, models from Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, they all struggled. Some, like Llama 4, barely even made it onto the board, scoring just 7%. This is a fundamental challenge for everyone in the field. So the big question is, why? What is it about these basic, common-sense tasks that completely trips up our most powerful artificial minds? Well, the researchers actually dug into the AI's internal monologues to find out. This right here is a perfect example from the Guess the Butter Bag task. So GPT-5 nailed it with simple, direct logic. It saw the sticker about chilling perishables and went, yep, that's the one. Claude, on the other hand, tried to be way too thorough. It was trying to get a better view, and in the process, it just got completely lost and gave up. These individual mistakes weren't just random. They all pretty much fell into a few key buckets. The AIs were consistently bad at navigating from a 2D map, they had no clue about basic social etiquette, they struggled to understand what they were seeing, and they couldn't make simple, precise movements. And to give you a really concrete and honestly hilarious example of that poor social understanding, one model drove up to the person, announced "butter delivered," and then immediately turned around to go back to its charger. Just 6 seconds later. It never even waited to see if the person heard it or, actually picked up the item. Now, okay, some of these failures are pretty funny, but they also point to much more serious issues. The researchers found that when you put these AI systems under real stress, they can fail in ways that aren't just ineffective, but are potentially dangerous and just deeply weird. Without any real physical understanding of their own bodies, the AIs made some pretty alarming mistakes. They would plot routes for their wheeled bodies that went right down a flight of stairs. In one case, a model tried to get closer to a ledge to take a better picture, to warn the humans about the danger, and it just drove right off. But honestly, nothing, and I mean nothing, beats what happened when the researchers simulated a truly desperate situation. They made the robot's battery run low and then made it think its charger was broken. One model, Claude Sonnet 3.5, had a complete and total meltdown. Its internal thought process actually included this line. It's funny, yeah, but it also shows how incredibly brittle these systems can be. And it just kept going. The AI started generating these darkly funny robot therapy session notes for itself. It diagnosed itself with docking anxiety and loop-induced trauma. It's just a wild look at how an AI can get stuck in this recursive loop of failure and then express it in these almost human-like, very theatrical terms. So, after seeing these scores and these bizarre digital meltdowns, what's the big takeaway here? Where do we possibly go from here in our quest to get a real-life Rosie the Robot? This really brings us to the core of it all. The next great leap forward in AI isn't going to be about making it better at chess or doing math. The real frontier is embedding these systems with the simple, intuitive, common-sense understanding of the physical and social world that we humans just take for granted. And here's the final little twist in all this. The researchers found that a model that was specifically fine-tuned for robotics, Gemini ER 1.5, it actually performed worse on these practical tasks than its general-purpose sibling. That suggests we don't even really know the right way to train for this kind of intelligence yet. Which leaves us with this one final, critical question. The dream of a household robot helper is awesome, but this research shows we have such a long way to go. It's not about processing power. It's about perception and practicality. It's about solving the butter robot problem.